In today's video, we're going to be diving into the upcoming pattern. As always, we have a couple of major low pressure systems moving across the nation, or should I say significant. I don't think we have any dropping too low in pressure, but there is a couple that are worth mentioning for sure that are going to be bringing potential major impacts, of course. And the good news is it's been very dry in the east. There is some signs in the medium to long range that we are going to have that activity returning to the east. I feel like I can't remember the last time we had a thunderstorm or really that rainy of a day. I feel like there's been maybe one or two this month. So it's been extremely quiet here in the east, and it is looking to really return. And when I say the east, I'm actually excluding the northeast. They've actually had some activity here recently. It's mostly the mid-Atlantic and southeast that's been lacking. Now, I know this intro is going very long, but I wanted to apologize. I've obviously missed a few uploads recently. I've had really bad insomnia, actually, and it's been really, really a struggle for me. And thankfully, I'm getting a little bit of better sleep now. And yesterday I actually recorded a video, but I forgot to even upload it. So I made the whole video, I finished it, and then didn't upload it. I forgot that I hadn't done it. So insomnia is not only bad for sleep, but also just when you're awake, it also causes problems. So yeah, been a struggle for sure, but I'm feeling a lot better, thankfully. Let's go ahead and take a look at later on this evening. This video is coming out at a decent time, so we'll talk about today a little bit. 1004 here, cold front stretching underneath here, and this could feature some thunderstorm activity here, especially for a lot of Kansas, Missouri, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Tennessee here. We're seeing some thunderstorm activity flaring up for these states. And on top of that, we do have a warm front stretching way to the east, so expect mostly showery activity here for these northern areas with some consistent rainfall, especially close by this low here to the west. Now, also, we're experiencing very warm conditions surging up the eastern states because of this warm front, so everywhere south of that warm front is likely seeing much more warm and humid conditions than they have been seeing. Out west, we do have 1,000 millibar low pressure center here over the Canadian Rockies. And we're seeing kind of a mixed bag of precipitation for a lot of your mountainous west here, both for the kind of Cascades here and then your Rockies. We're seeing some snowfall for higher elevation and some rainfall, obviously, in the lower elevation regions there. Let's take a look at Monday afternoon here on the 29th. We do have 1,002 here over Wisconsin. Some cold front activity still ongoing here for portions of the Ohio Valley, Great Lakes, down through the south central states and deep south states as well. So be on the lookout for some chances of severe weather on day 2, which will be Monday, especially closer to the Gulf. There is where the main threat will be. We will take a look at the Storm Prediction Center at the end of this video, of course. Out for the Northwest, we do see a little bit more snowfall ongoing for Washington, Oregon, Idaho, Montana, and Wyoming there. So certainly that is picking up a little bit. Definitely something to watch for. By Tuesday, we're still seeing the very nice weather in the east with really not nice weather in the Northwest here. So again, still some snowfall and rainfall for the Northwest out here. We see 1,002 up there for the Northern Plains and Upper Midwest. And then we have this kind of very, very weak cold front type activity, but really it's just going to be hardly to impact the temperature. It's not really going to impact the temperature too much, doesn't appear. I think this is mostly just going to be a line of some thunderstorm activity moving through these areas. So for areas like Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, and then up the Ohio Valley and into the Northeast, we are seeing some thunderstorms flaring up there for Tuesday on the 30th. And then for Wednesday on the 1st, we do actually get a little bit more activity here near the coast for the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast. We're seeing another low pressure system over here for Colorado. It's only 1,000 millibar low pressure center, but we are seeing the ingredients building in. We have this warmth and humidity rising out to the east of it. We have this cold air sinking back to the west of it. And this is exactly what you would like to see for a developing low to be gaining intensity. So I guess it's what you would not like to see, but it's what I guess the low pressure system itself would like to see if, it had feelings. As we reach towards, that was already what we took a look at. Let's take a look at Thursday on the 2nd here of May. And this low doesn't really intensify too much. It did there overnight for a little bit, but it's already weakened by this point. It has a nice feed of moisture and warmth heading into it from the south, but we can tell that this one is a little bit less organized than its predecessors, I would say. We do have a little bit of a warm front type look there on the precipitation, but really this is actually bringing a lot of warmth and humidity to the east. Still this cold air diving back to the west, so we could still see some intensifying here It's sitting right around 1,000. It got as low as 992 there at one point over Colorado, as you can see. Right there, it looks like it's about to intensify down into the 980s, but it rapidly weakens back all the way up to 1,000 millibars, and then it wants to hover around there. Now, it does strengthen once again, so this one's kind of a roller coaster, but by Friday morning on the 3rd, we see a 994 over northern Wisconsin with a very healthy looking cold front stretching underneath, and kind of a drier warm front. There is some precipitation nearby the low here to watch for, but as we head further eastward in Canada, not seeing a whole lot. This could be the warmest day of the week for a lot of the east here, as we just see this surge of warmth and humidity from this one. With the cold air really pushing in behind this cold front, of course, I'd be watching for a sector of severe weather underneath this one for sure. It's going to be something to really, really watch for. And that cold front does push towards the east coast, although it's really separated from the low by this point. We have a 992 here, way up in Canada, and we see a cold front stretching way down. So all of this activity here is likely not being influenced too much by the low pressure system anymore. It's mostly just its own kind of entity at this point. So expect some isolated and scattered thunderstorm possibilities as far westward as Texas and Oklahoma, even New Mexico, and then up the east coast from Florida all the way up into New York State. That would be something to watch for. We do have more activity for the northwest, unfortunately. Heavy rain for the lower elevations, heavy snowfall for the higher elevations. Definitely still very dreary out there. By Sunday on the 5th, again, more activity for the southeast and mid-Atlantic. So that's that kind of uptick in activity that I was speaking of. And we have some thunderstorms over the south central again. We do have a strong low here over the northern plains, but it's really low precipitation so far by Sunday afternoon, which is again why I always say that a major low doesn't always mean major impacts. And then major impacts don't always mean that there has to be a major low. So it kind of, they help each other for sure, but none are necessary. By Thursday here, we see the low actually weakens, and then we actually see a bit more impacts from it. So 999, and there is a clear kind of area of cold front, I would say, and then warm front here out to the east. So continued warmth and humidity into early next week for the east here. Definitely, if you're a warm weather lover, this is looking great. By Tuesday on the 7th here, what we see is this low drops all the way down to a 990 here over eastern Canada. And we're seeing this cold front kind of stretching down the east coast. So this would be a much more major date to watch here for the eastern states, Tuesday on the 7th, for some potential severe weather here in the east, which I know it's a little bit more rare, but people are always curious. This date in particular, with the way this looks, would be interesting to watch for. Although keep in mind, things can change significantly, especially this far out, but definitely this is the biggest chance that I've seen on this model run. And we also have more storms down the pipeline heading into the northwest there. So definitely that activity doesn't look to slow down anytime soon. We can actually see by Wednesday on the 8th here that we have this activity picking up again for the northwest, still looking to continue its trek eastward. Total precipitation kind of tells the story. We still see a ton for the northwest, still a ton for the middle of the nation like we've been seeing. But look at the east now. A lot more, I would say, than what we've seen in previous model runs. So certainly we're seeing this uptick, which is good because things have been getting really, really dry around here in Virginia especially. I'm excited for some rainfall. I'm starting a garden this year and everything. I really, really want to see some moisture head in because it's been terribly dry. Let's take a look at the temperature pattern. I'm going to be honest, it's kind of a roller coaster. We see warmth here for a couple of days until midweek. It looks like a cold front is coming in, and then it really doesn't. It kind of builds in that warmth. And then a real cool down looks like it's heading in, but we build back in with some warmth. Look at how close this cold air is to moving into the east. We have this cold air right here, clearly heading eastward, and we have a surging ridge for the west here with a positive P&A look. What do you guys think is going to happen in the frames following this? You would think that that cold air is going to reach the eastern seaboard, obviously, especially with this warm push out west. But what we see is that this warmth just fights back. It keeps doing it over and over and over again, and we see the warmth just build back in, and the trough build back into the west. So it's kind of the opposite of what we've been in. So a negative P&A, surging warmth in the east, and really it does not want to give up. Even when all odds look like it's going to fail, it just continues to fight. And this looks very similar to what we had in the wintertime, unfortunately, which, that's the opposite of what I wanted then. And then also, it's kind of the opposite of what we've been seeing in the sense that we had a we were stuck in a positive P&A in the same way. We had cold air heading eastward, and it seemed like it couldn't warm up for a couple weeks there. So we're kind of flipping to the opposite there, which, again, thankfully, because I want the warmth and humidity now. And the only signs of cold is really after the 10th, which is extremely long range, obviously. That's about 12 days out. So we'll take that with a grain of salt. Certainly something to watch for, as this is the European AI model. I'm excited to track with you guys. But this model develops a pretty strong positive P&A after the 10th. And then a colder regime does start for the east, but that would mean 12 or so days of warmth, which is a significant time period to see above average temperatures, obviously. Let's dive into the Storm Prediction Center for day one here. We do have a couple of general thunderstorm risk areas, including the Pacific Northwest, some of the Rockies, so a couple of oddball states there seeing this, the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic there, and then across much of the central regions of the nation. We also have a darker green marginal risk area for a lot of these regions, and that's going to be your level one severe weather risk. We do expect some isolated severe weather reports to come out of there. Your yellow areas here are going to be your scattered about severe weather. That's called our slight risk area, or level 2. And then we actually have an enhanced here for eastern Texas, a bit of Louisiana there, and Arkansas. And this is where things get a little bit more widespread. So this goes all the way through tomorrow morning on Monday, April 29th at 6 a.m. So from the point that you're seeing this video all the way to 6 a.m. on Monday, April 29th, this is valid. Let's see day 2, which will be from 6 a.m. Monday the 29th to 6 a.m. on Tuesday the 30th here. We have a very, very large general thunderstorm risk area, as you can see, but not a lot of marginal risk or anything above, really. We're seeing still the Pacific Northwest in there as well. And then again, this is the date that I mentioned where closer to the Gulf is the bigger threat here. So for Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi here, and a little bit of Alabama and Arkansas, expect potential for isolated strong to severe thunderstorms in those areas. Day 3, things are getting a little bit more intense. Again, the eastern seaboard getting involved here as well. We do see the Pacific Northwest with the 3rd day in a row of a general thunderstorm risk. The central states still seeing this as well, but they do have a marginal risk area for isolated severe weather, and that yellow risk, or your slight risk, level 2, where scattered about severe weather will be possible in Iowa, Nebraska, Kansas, and Missouri. We do have one extended day outlook, and that's going to be for Wednesday, May 1st, all the way through Thursday, May 2nd at 6 a.m. And they've indicated a 15% chance of severe weather for Kansas and Oklahoma here. And that's going to translate roughly to a slight risk, so your level 2. But oftentimes we see that they actually end up making it much larger than this, or even have a higher risk level than this once it gets to day 1. Since this is day 4, there's a lot of time for them to upgrade this. So usually they don't like to back down. That's what I always say. It's very rare that you see them basically lower an outlook unless the thunderstorms have passed on a day 1 outlook. That's the only occasion where they usually will downgrade. But as far as an impending or upcoming severe weather threat, they very rarely will downgrade that risk. So they like to increase it day over day. So that's why I always say when it's at day 4, it could get higher over time. So be on the lookout for that as well. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. We do upload mostly every single day, as long as I don't forget to upload it. So be sure to subscribe for those videos. You can even hit the bell icon for daily, almost daily notifications when we upload, so you never miss one. And be sure to like the video if you did enjoy it. Leave a comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.